There are reports of increased orc activity around Ithilien, and you have been sent to investigate. You enter Osgiliath and cross the river. On the outskirts of the city, you see a horde that surpasses all expectations coming down the Morgul Road. Hello, and welcome back to the Line Unbroken, my series in which I am playing through each of the scenarios of the Lord of the Rings living card game in turn, using only cards which were available at the time of the release. Here I am playing the first GenCon scenario, the Massing at Osgiliath, and as you already know if you came here from my blog post on Warden of Arnor, you know that I'm being as precise as possible about my available card pool, and so I am only using cards which were available at the time of GenCon 2011, which means only as far as Conflict at the Karok. So there are some cards which I've been using in the past few videos which will not be making an appearance here, even though they would be quite useful. So, for our setup here, search the deck for the 12 scout cards and add 3 per player, 1 of each title, to the staging area. I've already moved 2 of each over here. Remove the Witch King from the encounter deck, set him aside out of play, and shuffle any unused scout cards back into the encounter deck. So here's the Witch King, and here are the remaining 6 scouts. I'll just shuffle those back in. And we flip this over. As the van of the army enters the city, some of the horde's outriders are aware of your presence and head in your direction. Drawing back, you make a hasty retreat towards the river. Players cannot travel to West Bank locations. This is, I suppose, the big sort of special mechanic in this quest. It's the West Bank, East Bank thing, because you're in Osgiliath, you're starting on the east side of the river, and in the course of the quest we will have to cross back over to the West Bank, and so that determines which locations we can and cannot travel to. So let's Control N and begin our first round. Alright. This is not as good a draw as I might have hoped for. I don't have an ally that I can play as a chump blocker here, which I really want to get these Wolves from Mordor shuffled back into the encounter deck. But I do have the resources to immediately play Steward of Gondor on Aragorn, and in the absence of such a useful ally, I will immediately give him Calabrian Stone, so he gets that spirit icon and some more willpower, so I can start moving on with this. Now, I could play the Horn of Gondor, but I think I would rather save Legolas that 1 tactics resource, so that next round I'll be able to play a Gondorian Spearman, which will be able to get rid of the Wolves from Mordor by dying. Meanwhile, over here, I can play Henemarth, who, useful though he is probably doomed to be eaten by wolves at this juncture. And then, unfortunately, I'm rather short on spirit cards, so I suppose I will immediately play a Song of Wisdom onto Frodo so that he can help with some of these lore cards, and then I think I will bring out a Protector from Lorien on him as well. And so we move on to questing. So I will quest with Aragorn and Theodred, adding a resource to Aragorn via Theodred's ability, and then spending a resource to ready Aragorn via Aragorn's ability. Just if you're not familiar with the intricacies of the timing here, the thing is that they both have responses which are triggered after they commit to a quest. You commit all your characters to the quest at the same time. So they commit to the quest at the same time, and both of these responses are therefore available at the same time, which means that you can choose which order to resolve them in. So you choose to resolve Theodred's first to give Aragorn a resource, and then you resolve Aragorn's to spend that resource and ready him again. And then over here, I'll quest with Eowyn and Frodo. So that is 4, 5, 9, 11 willpower versus 2, 4, 8 threat in the staging area. Yep, okay, and we reveal the eponymous treachery of this scenario, massing at Osgiliath. Surge, and when revealed until the end of the phase, each card revealed by the encounter deck gains Doomed 1 or Doomed 3 instead if the players have crossed the Anduin. We have not crossed the Anduin, but it's still Doomed 1 on everything. So, this is the Surge card. It is Doomed 1. It is nice design that, of course, there's Surge on that, so even if it's the last card of staging, you will still get the Doomed once. But this guy, high engagement cost, I can just leave him here for a while. And, oh dear lord, another Masking at Osgiliath, which is Doomed 1. And, of course, it will take effect again, and it surges into Ranger of Ithilien, which is now Doomed 2 because of the 2 copies of Massing at Osgiliath that were revealed. However, we do now take control of the Ranger of Ithilien, exhausted and committed to the quest. So that's another 2 willpower, and then he gains Surge, so we will reveal another Uruk Vanguard, which is Doomed 2. So that's an extra 4 threat in the staging area against my 13 willpower. I make 1 progress. However, I may be completely screwed here, because all that Doomed means that my first deck here is at 35 threat and will have to immediately engage these Wain Riders, which I am not prepared to do at this juncture. So, well, let's figure things out a step at a time. These Snager Scouts, at the beginning of the encounter phase, they engage the player with the lowest threat, which is this deck. I can't do anything to avoid that, even if I wanted to. Now I want at least 1 Wolves from Mordor over here, because they're going to kill Henemarth, and then they will vanish into the encounter deck. I do really have to deal with these Wain Riders. So yes, I think my best option is if deck 1 optionally engages 1 copy of Wain Riders, deck 2 optionally engages 1 copy of Wolves from Mordor, and then the remaining engagements will happen like this. So I'm going to select both of those and move them over here. This is fairly horrific. Now I will have to take this attack undefended. deal 2 damage to the defending character. There is no defending character, and so this doesn't do anything. And I will have to deal 3 damage to Thedrid. Each damage dealt by Wayne Riders raises the defending player's threat by 1, so I'll raise my threat by 3. Now, if I take another 3 threat, I'd be able to kill some Wayne Riders, but I don't know that that's the best idea. I think Aragorn will defend against these Wayne Riders. Feels good, given the shadow cards, that I did it that way around. He only takes 1 damage. I'll raise my threat by 1. Meanwhile, over here, Henemarth will defend against these wolves from Mordor. Remove all defending characters from combat. This attack is considered undefended. Okay. This is a problem. So I will put the undefended damage on Frodo and raise my threat by 4, and then move on. Beravor will defend against these wolves from Mordor and take 2 damage. The Snake Scouts I will take undefended, 1 damage, and undefended. It's already undefended, 1 damage. Henemarth is unexpectedly still alive, which is actually kind of problematic. Legolas will attack and kill these Snake Scouts and put 2 progress on the quest. As first rounds go, that was fairly horrific. Alright, now let's see. I think at this point I want to just spend these 2 resources on a Westfold Horsebreaker. I'll just move these over here. And that will be it. Over here, Exhausted of Gondor to gain 2 more resources. Now, I have 2 chump blockers available, so I can get the wolves from Mordor both shuffled back into the encounter deck. And I think that's probably my best option, and this means that I don't need the Gondorian Spearmen right now. So I'm going to pay 1 for the Horn of Gondor and put it on Frodo, and then I'm going to pay 5 for Gandalf. And as much as I would like to raise my lower my threat or draw cards, I really want to kill off these Wayne Riders. So there is now 4 threat in the staging area, and I will quest for 6, 7, 11. I think I probably want to keep Gandalf back for combat and the Ranger of Ithilien. I think 11 is probably enough. Wain Rider Captain. When revealed, move the top scout enemy from the encounter discard pile to the staging area. Now top 2 if we've crossed the Anduin. We haven't, but this will... Oh no. Wain Riders, which I killed with Gandalf. And then cut off. Doomed 1, and each player discards all ally cards in his hand. As much as I said the allies aren't necessarily so significant in these decks, I would still like to have some. So that's an extra 5 threat, so we make 2 progress. It's reasonable enough. I have to engage the captain and the regular Wain Riders. I'm not engaging these vanguards right now. So, okay, I have to think through my combat plans in advance here. These 2 are getting chump blocked. I can potentially take another undefended with Frodo. So if I optional them this way around, I think. And then, okay. +1 attack, doesn't matter. Hennemarth is dead. Frodo gets a resource from the Horn of Gondor. And the Wolves from Mordor are shuffled back into the encounter deck. I'll discard their shadow card. This one, the players have not yet crossed the Anduin. Osgiliath is now the active location. Dead and shuffled back into the encounter deck. Alright, now let's take this undefended. Defending player must discard 1 ally card from his hand, or attacking enemy gets +3 attack. So, obviously I have no allies in my hand because I discarded them to cut off during staging. So, this is now 4 attack. I will raise my threat by 4 with Frodo. And then Beravor will have to defend this. No shadow effect, so she takes 1 damage. No, I didn't deal out shadow cards over here. No, this... No, hang on. Let me just move these back. And because these Wolves from Mordor got shuffled back in after I should have dealt out those shadow cards, so I'll just reshuffle the encounter deck there, deal those shadow cards, and then shuffle these back in again. So I think I'll have to have Aragorn defend one of these. The attack is not undefended. 1 damage, 1 threat. This is truly horrific. I could take it undefended and then I'd be able to kill... Oh no, I wouldn't. I still wouldn't be able to kill both sets of Wain Riders, so Gandalf will defend as I was originally intending. No damage, therefore no threat increase. And the Ranger and Legolas can kill 1 set of Wain Riders. Put 2 progress on the Morgulduin. Discard these remaining shadow cards. Gandalf will leave play at the end of the round, and Frodo gets another resource. Control N. Alright, let's use Steward. And let's have Gandalf again. And I think I'll kill the Wainrider Captain. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 for a Rivendell Minstrel. Pull another Song of Wisdom into my hand. And now questing. Now there is a problem here. Morgulduin is the active location. When a character commits to a quest, deal 1 damage to that character. So anyone with 1 hit point left, I can't sensibly send on the quest. So I will send Frodo and actually I will make it an actual damage. I will send Gandalf. And I will send Aragorn, but I won't be able to ready him. I could send the Ranger. I don't think I should. So that's a total of 10 willpower. There's a total threat to the staging area by 1 for each scout enemy in play. So that's 2. And this will return Wainriders again. So that's an extra 7 threat. I have quested unsuccessfully. I don't have any means of increasing my willpower. I should have maybe thrown a Protector of Lorien over here. I could have discarded the 2 cards left in my hand to actually clear the Morgulduin. I think this is the point at which I give up on this quest. Well, on this particular attempt at this quest. That first round of staging was just horrific. I actually really like this quest, even though it can be brutal. I mean, with a more recent card pool, it's a lot more manageable, but there's still horrible stuff in it. That double massing at Osgiliath in the first staging just screwed up all my plans, and then the encounter deck hasn't let up on me. So let's try this again.